Listen, bro. Over deliberating on a thing can only get you stuck deliberating. Sincerely. Listen, it doesn't matter how you start, bro. Just start. You have a goal, you have a vision, you have a dream. Start. Most times, the problem people have is over deliberating. Like, you are too smart, you have read a lot of books, and you sit down and you keep trying to deliberate and deliberate and deliberate on the pros and cons, the possible outcomes, the possible failures, trying to avoid. And most times, in the deliberation and calculation, you ends up not even venturing into what you want to do. Listen, behind the mind of every person who is always over deliberating and deliberating and deliberating on whether or not to launch in, when to launch in, how to launch in order to avoid losing, there is this thing called, behind the mind of such person, there is this thing called the fear of failure. That's exactly the reason for that over deliberating. You see, anything you over deliberate on and you still end up not making a step, you still cannot really tell what it will bring out. You see, life is not that, so it's not something, everything in life is not something you can just walk up and say, oh, this is how it's going to end, this is how it's going to begin. No, it's always very easy to actually say, oh wow, yeah, this thing is going to work out. And most times it doesn't work out. And it's possible to look at something and see it as something that will not make any sense. And in few years, go and look at some great inventors, people who achieve so much from life. Most of them, when they were making the step they were making, when I was reading the story of Lamborghini, I heard he was mocked when he brought his idea. Sometimes it doesn't have to look wise, smart business idea or smart this and that or whatever in order to make sense. This goes out to me and to anyone like me who has been over deliberating, over calculating, overestimating, trying to get everything in place. Most times that's another problem. Get everything in place in order to make a move. Bro, you don't need to have everything in place. Start with what you have. Start scrappily. Start like you're a joke. Start like you are not serious. Start like you are already heading to failure at the beginning, but start. You see, I've come to realize that you see that thing calling to start. Starting something seems to be the most difficult area of everything. There are a lot of people, they know how to go about this and that, but you see that first step is the problem. They will still sit down, they will reanalyze, they will analyze, they will deliberate, they will bring this idea. They are trying to get to do it in the best and the best of best way. Coming up with this, looking for, at the end of the day, they end up not starting. Let me tell you, this is the reason why a lecturer somewhere who is a PhD holder, having a lot of things, knowing everything about economics, commerce, this and that, still doesn't own any business, talk more of successful one. Meanwhile, illiterates who just went through apprenticeship system and can hardly read and write are employing only graduates to work for them. Why? It is doability. Most of them just venture in, draw the experience. If it doesn't work out with time, you have gotten some experiences that you already know how this works. You see, but making a step is very, very important in everything. You see, whenever you are about to do something and you are waiting for, let me give an example. You want to start doing videos or YouTubes or this and that, and you have passion for it, you love it. For example, now you are thinking, do I have a good phone? No, you don't have a good phone. When you get a good phone, you check my background. Do I have the best background? Bro, if you keep focusing on getting everything perfectly in order, you might never venture into anything. Months will roll, weeks will roll, days will roll, and they will turn to months, they will turn to years, they will turn to decade, and the dream is not being done, it's not being pursued. Start like a joke. It doesn't matter how you started. I read a story in the Bible of some people who started building a wall, the children of Israel, and they were being mocked by people because the way they started, they didn't start like people who are even going anywhere. But that starting was what they needed to get to where they were going to. You see, but with time, as they have started, they need persistency, they need discipline, they needed discipline. With time, they were able to do it. When the people who started mocking at them and looking at them as jokers who are simply wasting their time trying to, you think you're heading somewhere, by the time they saw that these guys are making headway, Then they started looking for a way to stop them. There are people who think that nothing good can ever come out of you, and you are making them look right. Why? Because you are so scared to make a move. You are so scared to believe in yourself. You are so scared to say, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Start. Stop waiting to have everything. Do you have at least something to start like a joke? At least start. Not everybody who started business started with 1 million naira or 10,000 Ghana cedis or 1 million shilling. No. Some of them started with 300,000 naira. Some started with 2,000 Ghana cedis. Some started with 1,000 Ghana cedis. Some started with 200,000 naira. I'm not trying to give you wrong motivation, but I'm trying to let you know that most times, everything you may need in place to commence the pursuit of your vision may not always be in place at the beginning. Most people you see that built house, they didn't build house because the money was all there in cash, loaded. Then they have to make a call the engineer. How much? The engineer will not tell them this is the price. Oh yeah, Jessica, take the money. No, it doesn't happen like that. Most times, you start with what you have. You have a plan, then you have a token. Then you take it. It is something called calculated risk. You take it step by step, according to plan, with the time. When the time is right, each and everything, you start. Then you start adding small. You started like a joke. And before you know what's happening, someone has built a story building. Someone has finished a 6-bedroom bungalow, 5-bedroom bungalow, 3-bedroom bungalow. Another person is still sitting, waiting to start the perfect timing, Mr. Timer. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, nothing is achieved. Bible said a little folding of arms, a little wasting of time. Let's wait small. How do we do this? Over analysis. At the end of the day, nothing is achieved. At the end of the year, nothing is achieved. At the end of the 10 years, nothing is achieved. So, bro, take this motivation. Start. That's what you need. And look like a joke while starting. All those things are experiences to draw from. And it has a lot to teach you too. And you will have a lot from it to teach your children. That's how it works. Thank you.